Welcome to the Confidence by the Stars podcast, an astrology podcast that unlocks the secrets of your zodiac sign and provides astrological insights for personal growth and empowerment. I'm your host and Horoscope Hype Woman, Dorrissa Griffin, and I'm here today with special guest Sofia Adler. Sofia is an astrologer and coach who specializes in helping high achievers prioritize themselves and their needs using psychology, mindfulness, and energy-based practices. A born and bred New Yorker, Sofia traded the city streets for the mountains of Santa Fe, New Mexico. When she's not working, you can find Sofia hiking, at the farmer's market, or walking her dogs. Welcome, Sofia.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have you on too. I was just so impressed by you when I saw your profile on LinkedIn. I was like, oh my God, I have to meet this woman. She's done all this cool stuff. She looks like an awesome astrologer, and I would just love to be connected with you. So it's just a pleasure to finally get to meet you and to have a good little chit chat about women's empowerment.
I can't think of a better topic. I'm in. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Thank you again for listening to Confidence by the Stars. It would mean the world to me if you would follow the podcast by clicking the follow button right now. When you do, the moment we publish a new episode, it will come right to the top of your feed so you don't miss a thing. And if you like the show, please leave a review to help spread the good vibes. Now, back to the show. Yes, so I'm very excited, and I would love for you to just tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and what your journey has been with astrology.
Yeah. So I guess I should say right off the bat, I never thought I would be an astrologer ever. There's that famous saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I really feel like the teacher for me was astrology. I have a master's in psychology from Columbia University. And before I went back to get my master's degree, I worked in marketing and events at SoulCycle, which is a likely well known by your listeners fitness studio throughout the country. And I went back to graduate school because I wanted to learn how the mind worked. I had recently had a big shift in my family life. My parents got divorced. I'm an only child. It was definitely a pivotal moment for me. And as a result, I got really into the mind and how it works. And it started with yoga and then mindfulness. Like, I was just desperate to find anything that would make me feel better. I'm a born and bred New Yorker. I played sports in college. I really used to live and die by a do more, be more, achieve more ethos. And it wasn't until my life changed that I started to slow down, that I started to look for practices that would help me on an internal level and scale. I thought graduate school would be the answer. I thought, Ivy League, master's degree in psychology, I'll be set. This is how I'm going to help people. This is how I'm going to help myself. And I did start off with what ended up being a really successful kind of traditional corporate mindset and leadership coaching business. And I still had this nagging thought of something's missing. There's got to be more out there. Like, something is off. That voice didn't stop until I found astrology. Until I have now come to realize I found a tool that doesn't just give your mind something to chew on, doesn't just allow you to think about yourself in a new way and provide a new language and framework, but also addresses the parts of you that cannot be contained by your human body, that aren't necessarily logical, right? And kind of understood by the mind. As I see it, astrology really addresses the multitude of what makes us who we are. It addresses and acknowledges the multidimensional nature of what it is to be a human being.
Wow. Yeah, I really resonate with that. I totally agree. Astrology does do a much better job of encapsulating all the layers of who you are in a way that I think a lot of people don't experience through a lot of other modalities. It gives you an insight into yourself, that person that only you know inside your head. And people
Yeah.
are like, wow, I didn't realize you can pick all of that up and really give me a better insight into who I am and how I think and how I move about the world. Like that's what's really powerful about it.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people astrology obviously is super popular, which we love, and it's not only popular, but it's cool and hip. And while that's great, I think that the root, the core of astrology, why it matters, what it does, has really been lost in translation due to the rise in stardom, should we say, for the stars. And when we look at a birth chart, what I'm looking at is a picture of where all the planets were in the sky the moment that you were born. I'm getting a snapshot of what the energetic imprint was the moment that you came to life as a human, right? You took your first breath. But the reason that this matters and is significant is because your soul doesn't just choose this life. It also chooses your moment of birth. The moment that you were born, the way in which you were born, the timing of your birth, whether you were early or late, or came by surprise, or came in like this, or it took a while, all of that is written in the chart. So, to your point, astrology reveals what our soul chose for us in this life. It goes beyond our professional development, you know, quiz or breakdown. It really addresses not only who we are, but who we're meant to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love hearing about your journey, how you found your way through your own business and then you went to graduate school, took psychology. That was actually a field that I was very interested in. And I actually have a marketing background as well. And it's so crazy how psychology and marketing are just really cousins or maybe even sisters of, of each
Totally.
other. But then, like, still feeling like there's something else, there's something more, there's something that I feel like I wanna get to, and that's kind of what led you to astrology as a profession for yourself. I think that's really magnificent.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And again, like for everyone listening, you never know where life will take you. It's one choice after the next. When I became an astrologer, I was terrified. My friends are lawyers and docents or not docents, excuse me, curators of museums. My friends are consultants and have what I would call like these really like high ticket, like really impressive kind of traditional corporate careers. When I decided I was going to really do this, I was like, "Oh my god, like what are people going to say? What are they going to think? Like god, what are my parents going to think? Like Jesus." And it was in the end, the joke was on me because it was really beautiful to see how my family, my friends rallied around me and were like, "Yeah, this is amazing. Do it." And it goes to show, like, I never would have become an astrologer or leaned into who I am fully and completely without being buoyed by astrology, without that support from being like, "Oh, yeah, like I'm validated, I'm affirmed." Like those 2 words I hear from my clients all the time. And the stars empowered me to friggin' go for it. And then I did. And life has just unfolded in a way that I never would have expected. I always say, if you had asked 18-year-old me, like ahead, like just go a couple years, more than a couple, but you know, whatever. You're going to be an astrologer and have your own business. I think I would have been like, what are you talking about? Like, no way. So I'm lucky. I'm grateful. And it's wild to see how life unfolds. I think when we allow it to unfold, when we don't control, when we don't feel like we have to follow a certain path, because the universe always knows better, has bigger dreams and more opportunities than are available to us in our minds.
Absolutely. That the universe I love Oprah's quote, "The universe will dream a bigger dream for you." However
I
Oprah
love
says
that.
it.
I mean,
But yeah,
she's
of
perfect.
course she is. And
Yeah. Yeah.
speaking
Yeah.
of perfect, like, I feel like you and I are like a perfect connection too, because I was reading your your website, and you're an Aries with
That's right.
Aquarius rising, Aquarius moon, and I was like, "Oh my
That's
god, we're
right.
probably gonna really vibe out because 'cause I'm an Aquarius sun and rising and a Pisces moon." So I was like, "We're
Okay.
gonna vibe out."
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Aquarians are a vibe.
Yeah,
They're just a vibe.
a whole vibe. But yeah, that I was really excited to talk with you. And just like on the topic of women's empowerment, we have so many amazing things that have happened during Pisces season already, but what's really going to be, I think, a really pivotal time for everybody is Aries season. And coming up this month, and it's so pivotal that Pisces and Aries take place during Women's History Month. And I just think those things are like not coincidental. I think, especially during this time, we have eclipse season coming up, so many different things. And I think it's just going to be a really pivotal time. And the topic of women's empowerment, the topic of women really having ownership of themselves, I think are really what we're going to see during the season, during this year, a big
Mm.
shift in that. And so I would love to get your take on this women's empowerment and kind of like what your views about how we as women can really step into our own and really own who we are and move forward. Not just this month, but just in general using astrology or whatever modalities.
Yeah, such a good question, and I'm honored to answer it. At the most macro level, what astrology is doing is it is affirming, confirming that there's something going on here, that we are all connected, that you and me, we are one with the earth and the trees and the planets and the animals, the land. We are brought up in a world that has taught us to think that everything is separate and equally that we have to be like everybody else. Whereas when you really lean in and you're like, oh, damn, like I am connected to the freaking planets. Like it's pretty remarkable and crazy. Like I have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of readings and I have never met anybody that doesn't resonate with their birth chart. So, on a big picture, without even getting into the nitty gritty of your sun sign or the current season we're in and things of that nature, you can just take a step back and be like, wow, like I am connected to the planets. I am magic. Like it's really wild and really remarkable and astonishing and abundant to think about ourselves from that perspective. And equally, when you consider that you are one with the universe and also a unique expression of all that is, right? You and I are one and the same, and we're also incredibly different and unique. We've each been assigned, or our soul has chosen, if you will, our own way to bring our magic to life. And that's what astrology helps you figure out. It helps you see who you are meant to be, your potential of who you can be. What I often find with people is that they're super heavy in a specific part of their chart. So, for example, someone might have a Scorpio stellium and an Aquarius stellium, but they're super in their Scorpio. And I'm like, listen, we don't want to get rid of your Scorpio. I love this about you, but we got to pull out the Aquarius. We got to pull out these other parts of you. Not only do we compare ourselves to others, but we also don't, especially as women, it often feels unsafe or is taught that it's wrong to embrace the bigness of who we are, to really allow all of us to be seen. And you can make these connections on so many levels. What about all of the messaging around the size body a woman's supposed to have? It is endless, right? And so using astrology, and by the way, I really consider astrology an energy practice, and I can share more about that if that's of interest and exciting here. But I think astrology really at its core, and you spoke to this in our intro, astrology helps you remember who the hell you are. And it is as micro as your specific quirks and talents and gifts and growth edges. And it's as macro as, damn, like I'm alive and I'm alive now. And me and the trees are connected and the animals and the earth. And like it is my duty, my purpose to be and express me, my vibe, my energy, my passions. I actually wrote this in an Instagram post today. There's 8 billion people in the world, and there's only one you. And so that famous saying, who am I to do this? The question really becomes, who are you not to? And astrology provides that new language, that new framework, that new toolkit to help you kind of snap to it and be like, oh, so this is who I am. So
Yeah,
this is the power that I possess.
absolutely. It really can. I really resonate with that. That was actually part of my experience with feeling that affirmation of who I am through astrology. It was one in which I was questioning, okay, should I do this with my career path? Should I do that? And having that reading and kind of getting that understanding of myself and really saying, yeah, I do have these skills. I do have these gifts. I do have this way of seeing the world that is uniquely mine. And if I don't take the time to express that, to live that, to allow that to be present in how I exist, I'm missing that part of myself and I'm missing out on life in that way. And who wants that? Who wants to
Totally.
look back on life and be like, man, I had it right there. I knew it, but I didn't choose to go with that and honor that intuition about who I am. So I totally resonate with that. And I think that's one of the things that we get reminded about with Women's History Month, how much we are in a sense, through society, even throughout history, taught to play small, taught to really not fully express and accept who we are as whole human beings, but instead a
Mhm.
role or a service that we provide through the fact that we're feminine or we are women or we have feminine qualities. And that's the world's loss. But that's why I was really excited about this season and this year in particular, because I feel like a lot of that is going to shift quickly. A lot of that is just going to be something that's not going to be holding us back. I mean, when you look at technology, I feel like a lot of the roles that were traditionally done by women, secretarial work, a lot of note taking, AI is taking all those responsibilities away. And I think it's freeing women up to really say, I don't have to be a clerical worker. I don't have to be someone who is waiting in the wings to do this, that, and the third at someone else's service. I can be in a leading role. I can really have ownership of who I am. And I would love to dive deeper into that and kind of figure out from your perspective as an astrologer, how can we tap into more of that energy and saying, this
Mm.
is a time for me. This is a way that I can really let go of the barriers and the limitations that other people have placed on me and really take ownership of who I am. Thank you for listening to Confidence by the Stars. If you like the show, please leave a review to help us spread the good vibes. Oh, and if you haven't already, follow the podcast by clicking the follow button right now. When you do, the moment we publish a new episode, it will come right to the top of your feed so you don't miss a thing. One last thing, listen to the end of the show. I have an amazing freebie for you. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I think what really comes to mind as an exercise is to sit down, maybe you meditate or just close your eyes to get quiet and then write out a list of like, what are the rules that I think I need to follow? Right. And these are sneaky, by the way. Like, these are sneaky rules. Like, this might be something that you are doing for a long time. But the reason that I start with that, what rules are you following, is because then the question becomes, who made this rule? Did I, like, right? Because it's like, oh my God, we are adults. Like, if we're going to follow rules, I'm not saying go out and break the law and all these things, but like, if you're going to be following a list of these rules, you damn well better be the one who made them. Or at least know who gave you those rules, know who you are following, know who you are choosing to say yes to over yourself. Because I think what is really coming to mind for me, and it's not going to be It's not going to be kind of permanent until the end of this year, but Pluto moving into Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius now. It's going to dip back into Capricorn one last time, and then it's going to move back into Aquarius at the end of the year and stay in Aquarius moving forward. Pluto in Aquarius really speaks to this energy of like, as I see it, all bets are off, right? Aquarius is the rebel. Aquarius waves that freak flag high. Aquarius, though, wants to fit in, wants to fit in, but doesn't want to conform to be like everybody else, right? I always say to my Aquarian clients, community for you means that there are people around, they're doing their thing, but they're supporting you and you doing your thing, right? It's not that we're all meant to be like each other, but Aquarius is really this commitment, this reverence for authenticity, for being our own unique selves. And so Pluto, a generational kind of societal influencing planet, for those who aren't as familiar, Pluto's MO, because every planet has an agenda, is transformation, is change, is looking at what needs to be alchemized, what is lead that needs to be turned into gold. And so Pluto in Aquarius to me really speaks to an encouragement on a macro level of be you. Drop the shoulds, drop the rules, drop the things that you have subconsciously or consciously, the masks that you have put on to fit in, to belong. Again, when I say Aquarius wants their freak flag to fly, it doesn't mean they want to be solo out in the desert somewhere by themselves. It's more that they want to create a new future that doesn't echo the past. And so, in order to step out of these clerical roles or the boxes that women have been put in over the years that are being broken both by women and also, to your point, by changes in society, I think you first got to know who you are. And authentic expression changes. What's authentic for me this month might not be authentic for me next month, might not be authentic for me next year, and that's okay. But the more you know yourself, the more you get clear on, I like this. I don't actually think I like this. Or I thought I didn't like that, but damn, like I love it. It's super exciting. The more that you can lean into your unique, authentic expression, the rest will follow.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about like what are the things. Like I remember when I first was out of my corporate job and I was in grad school and I said something once of like, well, yeah, you work from 9 to 6. And the person was like, oh, I didn't know that. And it was like this realization of like, right, I'm following a rule about when and how long I'm supposed to work, but I didn't make this rule, right? Corporate America made the rule. Working at the time I lived in New York City, working in New York City made the rule. So it's sneaky, the influences that have hold over us.
Yeah, it really is. And so pervasive. And being able, as you said, to really take stock of who you are and then what rules or what things you feel are requirements that you have to adhere to be a certain way. Really taking ownership of what that is and parsing out, okay, this is the expectation, but this is what I want. This is how I feel that fits or works better for me, and not allowing yourself to always be so, I guess, restricted by those things. And I think that's very much, like you said, the Pluto and Aquarius, that's very Aquarian, like going deep subterranean through the Pluto part of it. But then also with the Aquarius is going to know the rules. They're going to learn the rules, but that doesn't mean they're going to stick to them.
Nope. That is certainly right.
Right.
Aquarius likes to learn the rules so you can decide which ones you want to break.
Exactly. So I would encourage people to really tap into that as we're getting and shifting these energies and find that inside of you to figure out what's working for me, what isn't working for me, how can I go about figuring out why that isn't working for me, and then changing those things in incremental or radical ways, however it fits, for you.
Yeah, and else that comes to mind too is we have to be open to change. Like, w- I think that people talk a lot about fear of change, But in reality, what's scarier is everything staying the same forever. And the cosmos and astrology really teach us that with Mercury retrogrades, with eclipses, with the changing of zodiac seasons. If you look at the energies of the stars and the planets, it's constantly in flux and inflow. It's constantly moving. So I think that that's something too of like taking note of what limiting stories are you telling yourself? Like, where are you keeping yourself boxed in or telling yourself that everything has to stay the same? Part of this new version of self that women are being called to step into. And by new, I really just mean like unexpressed. I don't mean that, oh, you have to find a new, it's like it's always in you, right? Like women's empowerment. It's like be the woman that you know you're meant to be without society telling you to be small and all the things. Um, but like it's okay for things to change. It's okay for things to be in flux and in flow, to go with it. It doesn't need to be rigid.
Absolutely. It does not need to be rigid. And I love how when you talked about your transition into astrology, you kind of mentioned some of the stages in your life and then some of the fears that you personally had about taking on this new role or taking on this new way of being you and using astrology as a way to help other people. I would love if you could like maybe give people some ideas about really doing that for themselves. I wanted to read a statistic from the Pew Center about the gender pay gap. As you know, that's like a huge, huge thing. The difference between the median earnings of men and women has remained flat in the United States for over 2 decades now. And in 20, 2022, the US woman typically earned 82 cents for every dollar a man earned. And that's on average. I think if you break that down by demographics in terms of race, is even lower than that. And that the main reason why women or people in general in the study felt that women were earning less is because they were being treated differently and they had a different choice or different circumstances about the work and family balance dynamic, as well as they were working in jobs that typically just paid less in general.
Mm.
And as an entrepreneur, the both of us are entrepreneurs. I really feel like that's something that is also shifting in the world. I'm not encouraging everybody to necessarily go out and start a new business tomorrow, but that is an option, that is an opportunity. And for people who are looking to maybe shift into, let's just say, a different role in life, maybe not necessarily a different business or whatever, but like a different role in life, what might be some suggestions that you would have for them to be able to assess that and make that shift and to
Mm.
be fearless about it, how to like really think about their fears? Because, like you mentioned, your family, like what would they say or what would they think about me? And then all of a sudden you announce it and they're like, that's awesome. And it's like crazy. How would you like coach somebody into making those types of changes in their lives?
Yeah. And what you're asking is so much of the work that I do with my clients. And I would say this one, I won't lie. As a double Aquarius and an Aries, I'm not only an Aries sun, but I'm a Aries Venus and Mercury as well. I'm kind of an energetically wired to like go for it, to take the risk, to do the thing. So I need to acknowledge that. It wasn't easy for me, but it's definitely, I think, based on other energetic profiles out there, it was easier for me to be sure. But, I'm pretty sure Martha Beck said this originally, but one, go towards what feels warm, right? What lights you up? What makes you feel alive? What ignites a fire in your belly? Go towards those things. Because I will also say, my astrology business just took off, right? Because it's what I'm meant to be doing. And so we've been taught that we need to struggle, that we have to do, like, it always has to be hard work. And I'm certainly not implying that we shouldn't work hard. even though my astrology business took off, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. But there's so much success to be found, personal success, meaning, purpose in doing something that lights you up. So that's kind of a first thing. I would say that's kind of for the person that's like, I want to do something else, but I don't know what it is. Start taking note. What are the things that feel warm? What lights you up? What feels exhilarating and exciting? The other thing to consider is discernment around discomfort. And what I mean by that is, we've been taught that discomfort is a signal of something being wrong or bad. Instead of having the wherewithal and the recognition that in order to change, in order to carve out a new life path, to pivot careers, to walk in a different direction, you're going to be uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. Even when it feels like the 110% right thing to do, you likely won't feel super cozy and at ease because the thing that you were doing before, in some sense, felt comfortable, right? It felt familiar. So a lot of times I get from people, oh, it's like the discomfort stops them before they've even tried or started. Or they think, well, because I'm uncomfortable, because things feel wrong, then that means it's not right. And so having the wherewithal, talking it out with someone, leaning on the stars, right? What do the cosmos have to say based on the timing of your life? But to really consider, am I uncomfortable because I'm doing something I've never done before? Or am I uncomfortable because I'm really going down the wrong path here?
Yeah, I think those are great suggestions. And it's so powerful. I was actually like joking with myself today, and I was thinking about how can we help people make these shifts and take advantage of these new energies that are presenting themselves. And the song from the great Prince came to mind. And it's going to sound kind of cheesy, but I loved it. And there's this song he has called The Beautiful Ones. And at the climax of the song, he says, I may not know where I'm going. I may not know what I need. But one thing's for certain, I know what I want. And
Mm.
I was like,
Yes,
that's it.
yes, that's totally it. And also normalizing that I always say to my clients, clarity is based on action. You have to do something to get clear. Clarity doesn't just appear, right? And of course, it's funny. I'm sitting here smirking to myself. I'm like, this is the reminder you needed today, kid. But clarity comes from doing things, from trying it out, from taking action because you don't know what you don't know. You got to put one foot in front of the other. So you have to start,
Yeah, you got to start.
right? You got to start. And also, the last thing I would say is you reserve the right to change your mind. I think too what can hold people back from starting a new path or doing something new or walking a new line, if you will, is that they're like, "Oh my god, what's going to happen?" It's like you're not stuck in this forever. You get to pivot, you get to change. It's your life.
Right. You have to take ownership and really know that even if you take a step and you think, oh man, this wasn't what I needed, make another one. Take incremental change. If you can start small and make little shifts, those make all the difference. And those things add up to really, really big changes in your life. But like Sophia said, you have to start, you have to make those changes, you have to make those shifts, you have to take an assessment, and then wherever you think is going to be the easiest for you to make progress, start making progress just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, anything is better than nothing, right? Like, it doesn't have to be big or grandiose
Hmm. Absolutely.
to be considered something that counts.
Hmm. Yeah, and I love you have a resource that you are helping people with. It's this free course that you have. Would you love to tell people more about that?
Yeah, so I have an astrology for self-care course, and it is free. You can get it on my website. Um, and It's really a tool for helping people understand how to use astrology as more than just like a pop culture thing and a party trick, and really use it as a tool that can allow you to get into better relationship with yourself and to you figure out and understand and give you permission as well around what you need, around how you can support yourself so that you can go out and make these big changes.
Yes.
So that, because that's the thing, if you don't feel supported, if you don't have your own back, it's a lot harder to make these shifts.
Yeah, it really is. And I think on the topic of like just putting what you need first, like that's something that you also help people with, like how
Mhm.
to step from this kind of mindset of like, I'm here to help other people. And that's kind of like comes before anything that has to do with me. No, it's like, how do we get from feeling like everybody else's needs are more important than ours? Like you have also another resource that you use to help people with that as well.
Yeah, and I think too, we, especially for my high achievers out there, you can have big goals and big dreams and big ideas, but they don't have to come at the sacrifice of yourself. You know? Like I think people are so quick to shove down their needs, their desires, their feelings in order to get the thing,
Mhm.
create the thing, accomplish the thing. And I'm really a big believer and use astrology with my clients to help them with this, that you are just important as your goals. You get to exist alongside them. You don't have to give up on your goals to prioritize yourself. And also, prioritizing yourself doesn't mean that your goals are less important.
Mm,
You get to be one of those goals.
mm. Absolutely. That's a really powerful message. I think a lot of people forget that in the day-to-day churn of going from one thing to the next and having
That's
meeting
right.
after another and all these responsibilities, that you get to be your own goal. Having that sense of prioritizing you is just so powerful. I see we have a new visitor. What's your baby?
Yes, this is Penny.
Hi, Penny.
Penny Penny is a
My
Sagittarius.
gosh.
She also is an 11-pound dog and hikes 10 plus miles, so she's definitely a Sagittarius, but since we started today, it has the reason I looked to the side earlier is that we had a hailstorm and now it's kind of snowing, but there's also thunder, and Penny's very afraid of thunder. So that is why she ran over here and decided to join us.
Penny's like, "I need mama now."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wow, that's a lot going on, and you said you're in New Mexico. That's
Yep.
beautiful. That is really beautiful. I love that. Well, yeah, I'm so, so glad for this time that we've had together, and I love to close and wrap up my podcast with asking the 3 whys question. And,
Okay.
just like the gifts of the Magi, I would love to know 3 sayings, sages, or sounds that have helped you on your cosmic journey. And that could be books or people. Those are the sages. Sayings can be affirmations or principles that you follow. And then sounds can be music or films that have helped you. Just three of those.
Mm. Um, Sayings. I'm a cyclical being. I'm not meant to be on all the time. That is honestly my own, learned from the planets. Another is the more fun I have, the more money I make. That's a great affirmation, right? And kind of speaks to this. I can get serious in my head too. So that's a reminder of like it's valuable to have fun. It's valuable to go do things and enjoy yourself. That also contributes to business. Um, And just because it's top of mind, a sound that I've really been loving lately is birds chirping. Spring is coming, birds are chirping, and it just feels like everything's coming back to life, coming out of hibernation.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that first message that you gave. We're all cyclical beings, and I don't have to be on all the time. Like, wow, I'm gonna steal that from you.
Please, please do. Please, please do.
Yes, well, it's been so fun. I would love to know how we can stay connected with you or where we can find out more about you.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram. It's Sofia Adler underscore. I spell my name with an F, not a PH. And also my website, sofiaadler.com. You can find information there about booking sessions, more about astrology, grab that free self care course that we were talking about earlier today. And I would love to hear from you. So definitely, if you're listening to this, reach out, say hi. It's such a pleasure and an honor to have been here today. And I look forward to staying connected and talking to you soon.
Hey, thank you so much, Sophia. This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and the cutie pie you have with you.
Thank you.
Well, go and check out Sophia's website. As she said, she has so many great resources available to help you and support you on your cosmic journey as well. Thank you for joining us on Confidence by the Stars. Thanks again for listening. If you like the show, please leave a review. And if you would like to stay connected on social media, follow us on Instagram at Cos Music App. That's COSMUSICAPP. Cos Music App. Until next time,